Hi, thank you so much for joining me today, and today's video is the start of a brand new series. I'm joining Scrappy Adam, my friend Adam Westwood, who runs the Flair Hut, to do Ellie's Sunday. So every Sunday we're going to focus on something to do with Ellie's studio products. So today, the 6th of November, our focus is autumn themed stamps. So I've grabbed the latest stamp set from Ellie, and that's what I'll be using to document these photos of our trip to Boston in 2015. So I'm using Pinkfresh Studio Good Times paper collection, which is perfect for autumnal photos, and you can see I've just torn a strip of one leafy paper, and then I'm going in with my border punch to punch a border strip out of this lovely green. This is the reverse side of one of the papers. You can see at the top of the screen I've got those houses that I pre-stamped before I started recording, and that's just using my Distress Oxide inks, and you can see my colour selections on the left hand side. I've got Fossilised Amber, Bundled Sage, Tea Dye and Aged Mahogany, which is actually a new ink colour to my collection, and it matches that JD3D Print title that I'm going to use, Colours of Autumn, perfectly. So just layering up the strips on the left hand side of this page to act as a photo mat underneath that main photo. And these photos are just the buildings in Boston, but the colours with the leaves and the greenery around them were absolutely gorgeous. And I took a close-up of the window box, because even the window boxes were decorated with pumpkins. It was just wonderful. It was such a lovely experience. So another strip on top, just layering up this mat here. Keep adding the photo to check that I'm happy with the positioning and the colours, that they don't clash with the photo. And I think, yep, now I'm going to glue it all down. And once this is all stuck together, I am actually going to go in with my sewing machine and stitch down that pink strip, just a couple of rounds of running stitch and then a few zigzags to hold it in place. I don't bore you by showing that, but you'll see the finished strip once it's all done. So just continuing to glue everything down, make sure it's well stuck. And you can see that C, I managed to break it off when I was taking it off James's printer, but I told him it wouldn't go to waste, I would use it on one of our layouts. So it's fine, once it's glued in position you wouldn't know that it was broken off. So just checking one last time that I'm happy with everything. And now I'm finding some paper to add some mats to the photos, and this pale lilac works really nicely. It's the back of one of the cut apart pieces of paper, but I really like that. So just using my scissors to roughly cut a mat and tearing the bottom to add texture again, and to bring that tearing onto the right hand side of the layout, because we've got quite a lot on the left hand side with those strips of paper. So mimicking that on the left, but without the torn bottom, because the torn bits are on the right hand edge of those other strips. I didn't want to tear the bottom of that mat of the larger photo. So now I'm just going to come in with my Tim Holtz edge distresser, distress all those edges, and then that's the photo mat's done. So first of all, dealing with this smaller photo, and then I'll move on to that bigger photo there. So do you use Ellie Studio products? I absolutely love their stamps. They're amazing quality, and I'm really starting to use them much more. You'll have noticed in recent videos they release new products every month, and Hey Little Magpie are the exclusive distributors in the UK. So if you want anything, do check out our store. We stock everything that you have to offer, and it's absolutely amazing quality. The stickers are brilliant, and we're going to walk you through the various products each week on a Sunday, so I hope you can join us. I'll leave Adam's YouTube channel in the link down below, so you can check him out and see what he's been doing with his autumn themed stamps from Ellie Studio as well. So here I'm just using some Liquitex clear gesso to prime my paper, because I want to do some mixed media using these stamps, and the gesso acts as a resist against the card, so it takes the water much longer to penetrate, and the inks, so you get much more detailed effects if you prime your paper with gesso before stamping with your inks. So just prime that and then leave it to dry. And here that was the sewing machine that I was just putting away, and you can see that strip on the left hand side, there's just a few rows of stitching through it. So now coming in with my stamps and the leaves on this stamp set. It's the Autumn Days stamp set that came out last month. Are fantastic because they come in two parts. You get the solid leaf and then you get the vines of the leaf afterwards. So I'm just using the scrapper paper and I'm going to stamp in those 4 different colours. This leaf and also the oak leaf that you see on the right hand side of where this leaf was at the bottom of that stamp set. So first of all, coming in with the leaf, and I did that in tea dye, and then coming back over with aged mahogany to add the vines. And you'll see there I just moved the stem of the vine slightly to the left just to add some difference really to the different stamps. And I was stamping that again because I had some ink left on my stamp, and then going over with the leaf. But it is easier to add the vine first and then the leaf after. And I don't bother to clean my stamps between because it's quite nice having the different colours on that stamp. You can see a bit of that tea dye coming through on that yellow one. And then using the tea dye this time as the vine. So I just go through and stamp the various colours, and then I'm going to go with my Cutterbee scissors and cut all of these out so that I can use them as ephemera pieces on my layout shortly. So again, I won't bore you watching me hand cutting leaves. I can't think of anything more disinteresting really. So just show you this first one and then I'll cut to the end. So there we have my small pile of leaves, and I do actually go ahead and do some oak leaves as well. I just decided that I wanted to add the mixed media to the actual background because this will need to dry as well. So with exactly the same leaf, I'm just going all over in a random pattern using the various inks over the middle of the page, and I've layered the photo and that strip just to show me roughly where these need to go, but I will move those out the way so that I can have some underneath as well peeking out. And there we go, just moving them to one side. I love this aged mahogany, it's a beautiful purple, burgundy purple. And then coming in with my bundled sage. If you've been watching me for a while, you know that's one of my favourite colours. And now coming in with the vines, just to finish these leaves off. So I decided to do them all in the aged mahogany, even over the actual aged mahogany leaves, because when you go in with a more intense colour, it does show. And I'm going to use water in a minute to oxidise these inks and bleed them to make them look like a watercolour. So it didn't really matter too much what I did. I was just being very rough and ready, not too precise, and getting this all down. And you can see I've actually missed a leaf there, which I hadn't noticed when I was doing it, but it doesn't matter. So just spraying it with my water spray to just get a reaction from those, adding a little bit more. And you can see how they just start to bleed and move, and this effect is amazing. So there it is now, it's dry. Look at that. So we've got those watercolour effect leaves on there. It's almost as if the rains smeared them all. And then I'm going to come in now with my Lindy's Magicals. I've got the industrial set, and I'm just using the, I think it's called something sepia. It's just a goldy brown colour. So just with a wet paintbrush, picking a little bit of that powder up and activating it with the water. And then I'm just going to add it as a shadow underneath that photo mat that goes on that left hand side. So slowly bleeding it out, adding more water. I think I want to add splatters, but when I have a look, when I bring the paper in, it's still too much of a solid line and I don't like that. So I'll come back in and bleed it out a little bit more with some more water. Not wanting to waste anything on the packaging, I just splat that down as well. And you can see it's quite a stark line there, which I don't really want, so I just come in with a wet paintbrush and as I say, just bleed that out further until it bleeds into almost nothing. So just keeping going with the water and working it out. And you can see the colours fading as it moves further across the page. And once that's dry, it's a really lovely effect. So as you see now that's dry, it really does bleed out very nicely. So sticking this down with my double-sided tape, and then I can start building the rest of the layout. As you can see, this took me quite some time simply because of the drying time. Each time I added another layer of mixed media, I was having to wait for everything to dry. Those leaves, in fact, I did just before bedtime last night and left them to dry overnight so that I didn't have to wait a couple of hours, because when you put the gesso onto the paper, it does make things take a lot longer because it's not sinking into the paper, it's just sitting on top. So now coming in with my Sticks 225mm foam pads. Again, we sell these at Hey Little Magpie. If you're interested, they come on a massive roll, and they're brilliant for mounting photos. So just getting that stuck down, and then this one I'll just stick down with some wet adhesive. So just checking that I'm happy where I want my title to go approximately. I was going to have it in between the two photos. If you saw right at the beginning, I had it positioned between the two photos, but once I've started adding mats and things, it was just a little bit tight and I didn't want it to be covered up by anything, so I decided down at the bottom here would be better. And in fact, the way that I embellish everything, it's much better down here anyway. It doesn't interfere with all the embellishing that's going on with all these leaves. So the leaves that I'm adding here are hand cut from the Good Times papers, and also those leaves that I stamped earlier. The leaves on the left hand side are the ones that I stamped, so these ones that I'm tucking in now are all the ones that I stamped from that Elle Studio set. And then just tucking in some of those hand cut leaves as well. They're from a couple of the papers from Good Times. It's such a versatile range, this, because I don't use an awful lot of pattern paper as pattern paper. I tend to cut the elements out. This range really suited me. And as well as these hand cut pieces and the hand cut stamped pieces, I'm also using some JD3D Print leaves that he's designed, that again we sell at Hey Little Magpie. And they nestle in really nicely with all these other ones as well. And that title is also one of James's JD3D Print titles, again sold at Hey Little Magpie. So that brown leaf there, the oak leaf there, is one that James has printed. These are designs that I create and then he prints for us. So just nestling those in amongst the other ones and building up a really nice leafy border here. And once I've built up the border, I'll then add some scattering pieces, almost as if the leaves have been blown in the wind across the page. And then that, as I say, that trio of houses, I stamped that before I started the video. So it's just a single house that I stamped first in the aged mahogany on the right hand side, and then in the middle on the tea dye, and then on the left in the yellow. And it's a really nice little trio of houses. And I love how you can just build these stamps up like that, overlapping and putting them at different heights. So now I'm gluing everything down with my Nuvo Deluxe adhesive. Again, I didn't want to bore you watching me doing that because it took a little while, so just whizzing through to the end, using my T-ruler to check that this title is square, because the paper's slightly warped with that gesso and all the water. It's difficult to tell sometimes whether it is straight or not, so a T-ruler is a great way of doing that. And now that's down, I'll go on to those houses, just checking that everything is stuck down. I'm fairly methodical when I do this, but you sometimes miss bits, don't you? So coming back to those houses, I'm going to stick those down with my double-sided foam tape. Again, this is a Sticks 2 huge jumbo roll of foam tape that has lasted me forever. And just pop that down over that right-hand photo. So going back to my stamps just to see what else I can use, because our focus today is Elle Studio's autumn stamps, so I want to use as many as I possibly can on this layout. So going in with this lovely heart in a circle, and this could be used for anything, just because it's labelled as an autumn set. You could use this for so many different things. Her stamp sets really are very versatile, it's worth having a look at them. So that heart's in the aged mahogany, and just use my 7/8 of an inch punch to punch that out with a nice little white border. And now I'm going to go in with another circle punch from this set and using my bundled sage. At first I think I'm going to stamp it onto the card and cut it out, but then I'm brave and stamp it straight onto my layout. But I do catch the edge of that circle there, which is a little bit annoying, but it's fine. I just make sure that it's glued down in the position there. Can you see where it's just caught the edge of it? So that stamp says love this, and then there's a blank autumn day. So now I need to find something to fill that blank in with. So I'll go in with the 6x12 sticker sheet from Good Times and find a sticker that says cozy in a beautiful green, and that fits perfectly in there because it was a lovely cozy day. It wasn't too cold, the sun was shining as you can see from the photos, but it was a very crisp autumn day. So now coming in with my journaling, not a lot to say about this, so just a few lines, wandering around this beautiful city soaking up the colours, and then another sticker at the bottom just to balance everything out. I felt it needed something at the bottom there, so that just says breathe life in. And then looking to see if there's anything else I can use, and I see these label stamps, and I use one of these to have my date at the top of that photo. So just using my roller date stamp and my black ink just to add the date there, 9th of November. And finally I want something to add to the left of that sticker. I feel like it's hanging a bit oddly there on the photo, so I just add a small leaf sticker to finish that part off. And finally I'm coming in with these little stamps that are almost like little sparkles, and I'm just going in with the aged mahogany, and it's just to bring some of that darker colour in around the layout. And that's it. Thank you so much for joining me. Do check Adam's channel as well to see what he's been up to with the Elle Studio autumn stamps. I'll leave you with some close-ups. I'll see you during the week with some other videos, and then next Sunday for the next Elle Studio instalment. Thank you so much for joining me. Bye.